What do you do when you feel down and you have important project to finish?
It depends. So I have a lot of strategies now. One is if I have a big project that I need to finish and I'm overwhelmed and it's too big and I can't look at it and I'm not starting and I'm beating myself up, I try to figure out what the problem is. And it's usually either and I don't know what to do, like I don't know where to start, or it's I'm being a perfectionist and I'm not starting because it's not going to be perfect or whatever, or sometimes I just don't have the motivation. Like I know it's important, but the ADHD brain doesn't care about important. It doesn't really motivate us the same way.
It's care about urgent?
It cares about urgent, yeah. Mm-hmm. It cares about new or novel. It cares about proximity, like if it's something, if it's something that's close, that's happening soon, right? A project that's 6 months out is not going to activate my brain. It's not going to engage my brain. And so I have to do things for myself to make it easier. And one of the best ones, because it tackles a lot of this, is to break things down into tiny steps. Mm-hmm. So if I have to work on a book or something, like the first thing that I do is I open up, or like a talk, like I make talks regularly. The first thing I do is open up a file for that. And so I start, having just a place to put all the research and put all my notes and everything. But I don't try and write a talk. The first thing I do is just open up this file so that I have a place to put these things. And then I know I have this long to do some research and this long to write a terrible first draft and this long to rewrite it. But if I just go, I need to write a talk, my brain is not going to know what to do with that.
Okay. So dividing a big project into smaller
pieces. Chunks, because it makes it more urgent, right? Mm-hmm. I know that the talk isn't due for 6 months, but I know that if I don't do this piece of it this month, then I'm going to be behind all of the rest of the months. Mm-hmm. So now instead of it due in 6 months, this piece is due in a month, and that is more activating. That's more engaging to my brain. And if that's not enough, okay, what do I have to do this week? If that's not enough, what do I have to do today to make it urgent and to make it manageable? Because writing a talk is impossible. Opening a file, that's not that I can do that, right? Okay.
And adding small pieces all the time is also doable.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the way that you know that you've broken it down enough is if you feel like it's doable. Mm-hmm. If you can look at that task and say, oh yeah, I can do that, then it's small enough. If not, if you're still looking at it and it still seems so big and scary, you haven't broken it down far enough.
Mm-hmm. And finally, from your experience, what make an ADHD adult or person or youth successful?
In my experience, it's been understanding my brain and what I hear from my community, understanding your brain, accepting it, and instead of getting really judgmental when you can't do something, you get curious. Why can't I do it, right? Because there's a reason for it. It's not just that we're a terrible human being, it's that something's getting in our way. And so figuring out what's getting in our way in a way that's really accepting and non-judgmental is helpful. If I'm not starting on this thing, why am I not starting on it? If I'm having trouble keeping my kitchen clean, why am I having trouble keeping my kitchen clean, right? Mm-hmm. And is it important to me? There are certain things that I've just accepted I'm not great at, and successful people, I've learned, the most successful people focus on their strengths. They focus on what they are good at. So I spent most of my life trying to get good at things I was not good at.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Instead, now I focus on what I am good at. And I use strategies to mitigate the problems that I have with the things I'm not good at. Mm-hmm. So, I can't just be like, I'm not going to pay my bills. I need to learn strategies to make sure I pay my bills. Mm-hmm. But I can say, well, you know what, though, I am creative, and I'm going to use my creativity to develop a system that'll work for me. I focus on what I'm good at, and I think that's what successful people do. And so the best thing, I think, specific to ADHD is knowing what you're good at and knowing where your challenges lie and putting supports in place to help you deal with those challenges, but then focusing on what you're good at.
So to sum up, I want you to leave us with a piece of advice for our ADHD brains.
Oh gosh, there's so many things I could say. I guess my best piece of advice is to recognize that a lot of the things that we think about ourselves automatically, we built up from years of people who didn't understand telling us things like try harder, or you must be lazy, or you must not care. And it's really important to undo some of that work, because the things that we were told, they become our internal voice. So when we mess up, we hear those things echoed back at us. And it's really important to challenge those thoughts because they're wrong. They were based on bad information.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for answering my question.